welcome back, you guys. It's been a minute. Um, that's all I have to say. That's literally all I have to say. And I'm excited to get back into the vlog. I hope you guys have enjoyed so far. And please subscribe if that's what you want to do. Like, comment if that's what you also want to do. Share your opinion. I haven't shared much of my last few chapters because I was focused on more of the aspect of audiobook rather than sharing my opinions because I didn't want to disturb. I guess we're gonna be a little more different today. Now that all of that is said, let's get into chapter 8, Shakiba. Chapter 8, Shakiba. Quickly, most of the household work was turned over to Shakiba. Her uncle's wives found that once she'd recovered, she was quite capable and could manage even the chores that required the combined strength of two women. She could balance 3 pails of water instead of just 2. She could lift the wood into the stove. They whispered happily to each other when Bobo Struggle was not listening, not wanting to appear lazy to the matriarch. She has the strength of a man, but she does the chores of a woman. Could there be any better help for the house? Now we know what it must feel like to live like Bobo Shugul. Shakiba heard their comments, but it was in her nature to work. She found that sunset came faster if she busied herself, no matter how laborious. Laborious? Laborious or laborious? How do you say that?
Yes.
Laborious, right? Okay. She busied herself, no matter how laborious the task. Her back ached at the end of the day, but she did not let her face show it. She did not want to give them the satisfaction of exhausting her, nor did she want to risk a beating for not being able to keep up with her work. In this home, there were many ready sticks to teach her that indolence would not be tolerated. Khala Zermina, Kaka Fredon's wife, was the worst. Her thick hands came down with a surprising strength, even though she claimed to be old and tired to do any of more cumbersome tasks in the house. Her temper was short, and she seemed to be poised to take Bobo Shuggle's place when Allah finally decided to reclaim the bitter old women. Bobo Shuggle realized as much and could see through her false flattery, but she tolerated it, keeping Zarmina in line with an occasional berating in front of the others. Alisamina was by far the mildest. She was wife to Bobo Shuggle's youngest living son, Kaka Zilmai. It took about a week for Shakiba to realize that Samina scolded or hit her only in the presence of the other daughters-in-law. When she realized her hand, Shakiba braced herself unnecessarily. She realized Samina put no more weight into her blows than she would to swat a fly. She doesn't want to look weak, Shakiba thought, but now I know she is. Shakiba kept to herself, did the work assigned to her, and tried to avoid eye contact. She did nothing to invite conversation, although she did provide a good topic for discussion in the house. Summer was a few weeks away when Bobo Shuggle interrupted her scrubbing the floor. Kaka Pregon stood beside her, arms crossed. Shakiba instinctively pulled her headscarf across her face and turned her shoulder to face the wall. Shakiba, when you have finished with cleaning this floor, you are to go into the field and help your uncles with the harvest. I'm sure you will appreciate a chance to get fresh air outside, and it seems you are experienced with this kind of work. But I still have to then prepare it quickly and get outside. It is about time you helped to grow the food that has fattened your face. Washuggle pisses me off. She gets on my nerves. Kaka Freeland smirked in agreement. This was all his idea. He watched Ismail's land reap a harvest that most others would have thought impossible given last season's pitiful rainfall. It occurred to him that his brother's daughter's son may have inherited his instinct with the earth. Why not make use of her after all? There were plenty of women to do the housework, but Washogul had agreed readily. The clan was in need of a good harvest. There were many mouths to feed, and more the first time in the year. Their debts were growing. Shakiba nodded, knowing that the new assignment would not only relieve her of her current ones, her days would be longer. Khala Zarmina was especially angry about the new arrangement, but she did not dare to contest Bo Shagul. There is more to be done here in the house. Bobo Shakul has forgotten what it means to take care of the cooking and cleaning. I have left a pile of clothes in need of hemming and darning for Shakiba Eshola, but I suppose that will all have to wait if she is going to be out in the field during the day. She had better wake up earlier if she is going to be getting the lunch ready too. The family had quickly embraced her nickname in Afghanistan. Disabilities defined people. There were many others in the village who had such names. Maria Melung, who had walked with a limp since childhood. Zaburi Yaktista was born with one hand, and if you don't listen to your father, your hand will fall off just like his. Mothers used to warn their sons, Shoshanesia, or the black, for his dark complexion. Bashir Kaur, the blind, had lost most of his sight in his 30s and despised the children who laughed at his stumbling gait. He knew too that their parents joined in the snickers. Shakiba dried the floor hastily and tightened her scarf under her chin. She went outside and saw that her uncles were taking a break leaning against the outside wall and drinking tea that her cousin Hamid had brought out to them. Shakiba turned to assess the progress they had made. From this side of the house she could see her home. It looked small in comparison to the clan's house. This is how it felt to watch us. She noticed that there were new pieces of equipment in their field and that her father's tool had been carted over to this side of the land. The house had been emptied. A pile of their belongings lay outside the wall her father had built. They're taking my home. They wanted our land. Suddenly, Shakiba realized why it was that Boba Shagul had summoned her youngest son after so much time. Her father was tilling the most fertile land the family had, and they wanted it. They wanted more than the share of the crops he sent over from time to time. They wanted it all. Now there was no one in their way. They were taking her home. Shakiba thought she would feel nothing, but inside she seethed. No one had thought of her when the house's contents were thrown outside for trash. The few remaining items that had belonged to her mother, her father, her siblings, all tossed aside to make way for something new. Was someone going to move into her home? Shakiba realized part of her was still hoping to return to that home, to live there independently as she had done before. But of course, that would never happen. Shakiba found a container and walked into the field. There was much to be harvested. The onion plants had long yellow leaves and had probably dried up about 3 weeks ago, given their appearance. Why haven't they pulled these onions out? Shakiba thought and leaned over to get a closer look. Hey, Freydon! Look what she's doing! Tell her not to touch the onions! They aren't ready yet! This imbecile is going to ruin our lot! It was Kaka Shiraga, the skinniest and the laziest of the group. The leaves were brittle in her fingertips. She reached at the base and began to pull the bulbs from the earth. Almost too late! They're about to rot. No wonder our food tastes the way it does. God knows what they're doing with the rest of the crops. Kaka Freydon walked over and looked at the 3 onions she had already unearthed. Shakiba did not turn to look at him. He grunted something, then walked away. You didn't say anything to her? Shir Aga yelled out. Enough, Phaedon answered. They're ready. Shir Aga looked at his elder brother and bit his tongue. The men returned to the field and grunted instructions at each other. They kept a distance from Shakiba, but watched her from the corner of their eyes. She moved nimbly through the rows, her calloused fingers weaving between the stems and yanking with just the amount of force needed to bring the bulb to the surface. She stopped only to readjust her headscarf. But when she had finished one square area, the sun was beginning to set, and it was time to prepare dinner. Shakiba resumed her post in the kitchen and was dismayed, but not surprised to see nothing had been done for the evening. She quickly started a flame and set some water to boil. Khala Zarmina walked past her and peered into the dim room. Oh, there you are! I was about to boil some rice for dinner, but I see that you're here now. I'll leave it up to you. Then I just hope you'll clean your hands well. They're filthy. Shakiba waited till Zarmina had walked away to let out a heavy sigh. How she wished she would have died on the cold floor of her own home before her uncles had found her. Jummah prayers had just ended. Her uncles were returning home from a small masjid in town. Shirin, outside, we are speaking with your grandmother. Kaka Fredun snapped. Shakiba watched her cousin scamper out of the main living room. Kaka Shir Aga looked at her and seemed to be considering something. He followed his brothers into the living room. Shakiba pretended to walk back into the kitchen with the clothes she had gathered from the clothesline. Before she reached the kitchen, she stopped and sat on the floor to fold the clothes. From there, she could hear some of what her uncles were saying. We need to settle this debt. Azizullah is losing patience with us. He says he's waited long enough. What exactly were his demands? I spoke with him in the village 2 weeks ago, and he told me that he is in need of a wife for his son. He wants one of the girls from this family. Is that what he said? Well, he said that there is a debt to settle and that he was thinking of it these days because he wants to secure a wife for his son. I see, Baba Shuggle's voice was sharp. Matter of fact, how old is his son? His son is 10. He still has time. Yes, but he wants to arrange the matter now. I could hear Baba Shuggle tapping her walking stick on the floor in thought. Then we need to arrange a deal with him. Salmai, your girls are the right age. Maybe one of them, the older one, she's 8, isn't she? Kaka Fredon's voice was unmistakable. Shir Aga's daughter is the same age, and your daughter is the same age as Azizullah's son, and would settle our debts sufficiently. Phelan's got more daughters than anyone. It makes sense to give one of. I don't think it's necessary to send one of the girls. There was a pause as Baba Shuggle's son waited for her to explain. We will offer Shakiba. I'm not one of the girls. Shakiba Shola? Are you joking? He'll take one look at her and come after us demanding twice than what we owe. To offer Shakiba will offend him, for sure. Shakiba closed her eyes and pressed the back of her head against the wall. Your name means gift, my daughter. You are a gift from Allah. Salmai, I want you to speak to Azizullah and tell him that his son is still young. God willing, he and his father have a long life ahead of them, with plenty of time to arrange for a suitable marriage. Tell him it would be more useful for them to have someone who can help them at home now. Tell him a happy wife bears more son. Then you can offer Shakiba. But what if he says no? He won't. Just be sure to tell him that she's very capable, that she has the back of a young man and can manage a household. She is a reasonable cook and she keeps quiet now that she's been tamed. Tell him that it is an honorable thing to do to take in an orphan, and that Allah will reward him for bringing her into his home. She will be like a second wife without the price. And what about the work she's doing here? Who will do that? The same lazy women who were doing it before Shakiba came here. Boa Shuggle snapped. Your wives have been spoiled. They have taken to lying about, drinking tea, and making my ears ache with their chatter. It will be good for them to get back on their feet. This is a home, not a royal palace. The brothers grunted. Would Azizullah really take the offer? They wondered. Better to try than to argue on whose daughter would be given as a bride otherwise. Say nothing to your wives now. No need to go stirring the hen house yet. First, let us discuss matters with Azizullah. Shakiba picked herself up from the floor and hurried into the kitchen before her uncles emerged. She couldn't help but be thankful her parents were not alive to hear this conversation. She felt a tear well in her right eye. That is the problem with gifts, Mother Jean. They are always given away. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah, but I feel like this was good for Shakiba. It would be so hard to continue to live with her grandma and her awful family. I feel like this was for the best. But again, she doesn't know what's coming for her, what this new family would be like, so it makes sense her fear. Oh, it upsets me when they call her Shakiba Shola. That's so upsetting to me. Shakiba. Azizullah took the deal. Shakiba Shola packed her 2 dresses. Do not do anything that will bring shame to this family. Her grandmother's farewell to her was unceremonious. Shakiba did something she never thought she would do. She lifted her burqa from her face and spat at her grandmother's wrinkled feet. A wad of saliva landed on her walking stick. Good job, Shakiba. Yes, I'm rooting for you. My father was right to run from you. Boa Shuggle's mouth gapped as Shakiba turned and began walking toward her uncle, who was to escort her to Azizullah's home. She knew it was coming, but she did not care. She also knew Khala Zermina was watching and smiling. The walking stick came down on her shoulders twice before her Kaka Zalmai raised a hand to block his mother's revenge. Enough, Motherjan. I cannot take the beast to Azizullah crippled. Her face is bad enough. If he sees her hobbling, surely he will turn us down. Let Allah punish her for her insolence. Shakiba kept her shoulder up and did not falter. She did not know what lay ahead for her, but she knew she could not return to this home. She had closed this door for sure. You wretched creature! Allah, in all His wisdom, has marked your face as a warning to all. There's a monster within, ungrateful, just like your despicable mother. Let me say that again. Just like your despicable mother. Did you wonder why your entire family is gone? Buried under the ground? It is you. You are cursed. Shakiba felt something rise within her. She turned slowly and she lifted her burqa again. Yes, I am. Shakiba smirked and pointed her finger to her grandmother. And with Allah as my witness, I curse you, grandmother. May demons haunt your dreams. May your bones shatter as you walk, and may your last breath be painful and bloody. Yes, Shakiba, yes. Boa Shuggle gasped. Shakiba could see the fear in her eyes. She stared at her granddaughter's portentous face and took a nervous step back. Kaka Zalmai slapped her face with a mighty backhand. Kaka Zalmai. Even the deadened nerve on the left side of her face stung with his blow. Clever, she thought, as she tried to catch her balance. Won't leave a mark there. He tightened his fingers around her arm and dragged her away from the house. We're leaving, Mother John, and I'll be back when I have gotten rid of this monster. Samina, help my mother back into the house. Shakiba had no trouble keeping up with Uncle's pace. She kept 2 steps behind and played the scene over and over again in her mind. Had she really done that? Had she really said those things? Her burqa hid a lopsided smile. They walked the 4 kilometers to Azizullah's home in silence. Takazumai occasionally looked back and muttered something that Shakiba could not make out. They passed through the village Shakiba had not seen her early childhood. The shops looked more or less the same, and there were a handful of people walking about, blue burqas following men dressed in loose flowing pants and long shirts. As they moved further from her family's land, Shakiba wondered if she had done the right thing. What if she found herself alone again? What would she do? But she knew. She would do what she had intended to do months ago. I will find a way back to our land and bury myself with my family, Shakiba resolved. Azizullah's home was large in comparison to Baba Shagul's, and when she discovered that not only Azizullah, his wife, and 4 children lived in it, she was astonished. Azizullah had been given the home by his father, who had been a relatively wealthy man by village standards. Today, Azizullah made his living as a man of commerce. He bought and sold anything that was of value to anyone. He made trades and loaned money as needed. He knew everyone in the village, but more important, everyone knew him. His family was well connected. With 2 brothers in military service, it was Azizullah himself who answered the outer gate. The men shook hands and exchanged pleasantries. Shakiba stood just behind her uncle, feeling invisible. Azizullah was a burly man who looked to be in his 30s. He wore a brown lambskin hat of rippled fur that sat snugly on his head. His eyes were dark, and he had a thick but neatly trimmed beard. His clothes and hands looked clean. He does not look like a working man, thought Shakiba. Please come in. Samai John, join me for a cup of tea. Kaka Samai accepted the invitation and followed Azizullah into his courtyard. Shakiba stood behind, not sure what she should do, until she saw her uncle shoot her a look. She took a step into her home. The men went into the living room, but Shakiba thought it is best if she remained outside. She stood with her back to the wall, her shoulders now starting to ache where Bobo Shugul's walking stick had come down on her earlier. Again, a smile beneath her burqa. Nearly 20 minutes passed before she was summoned into the living room by her uncle. This is Shakiba, Azizullah John. You will see as we told you. She's a very hard worker and is sure to prove useful in your home. I trust your wife will be very pleased with her. Samai John, we have lived in this village for many years, and Shakiba Eshola is no secret. I had heard of her scars before your brother spoke of it. Now I want to see exactly what it is that I'm bringing into my house. Have your niece show her face. Now I want to see exactly what it is that I'm bringing into my house. Have your niece show her face. Kakazomai looked in Shakiba's direction and gave her a nod. His eyes warned her against disobeying. Shakiba took a deep breath, lifted her burqa, and braced herself. His reaction came slowly. At first, he saw only the right side of her face, her high cheekbone, skin with the delicacy and color of an eggshell. Her dark iris, her naturally arched brow caught Azizullah by surprise. The infamous monster was half beautiful. But as Shakiba turned her face, her left side came into view. She moved slowly, deliberately, anticipating a response. It suddenly occurred to her that Azizullah could be so repulsed as to send her back to her grandmother's house. She held her breath, unsure what to wish for. Azizullah's brows wove together. Impressive. Well, no matter, for our purposes, her face is insignificant. Insignificant? She has no other illnesses? Does she speak? No, Zizullah Jan. Aside from her face, she is healthy. She speaks, but not enough to pester you. She should be an obtrusive addition to your household. Azizullah stroked his beard. He took a moment to contemplate, then made his final decision. She will do. I am so happy that you see things this way, Azizullah Jan. You are truly a very open-minded person. May God grant you a long life. And you, my friend. I should be on my way then. I trust this will satisfy my family's debt to you. And please know that my mother sends her warmest regards to your wife as well. Kakazamai spoke so graciously, Shakiba could hardly recognize him as a member of her family. Our debts are settled as long as this girl works as you have said she will. And she did, mostly out of fear that she would be sent back to Bobo Shugal's house. Soon, Shakiba realized that she was much better off here in Azizullah's home anyway. Azizullah called his wife Marjan into the living room after Zulmai took his leave. This is Shakiba. You should acquaint her with the chores of the house so she can get to work. Her family speaks highly of her abilities to keep a clean house and manage even heavy tasks. Let us see how she proves herself. Marjan eyed her carefully, wincing as her eyes fell upon Shakiba's face. She was a good-hearted woman and immediately took pity on Shakiba. Allah, Allah, dear girl, how terrible! She exclaimed, wiping her powdery hands on her skirt. She recovered quickly, though. Well, let me show you around. I was just kneading the dough, but it's all done now. Follow me. Marjan was probably in her late 20s. Shakiba calculated that she must have had her first child at Shakiba's age. This is our bedroom. This is the kitchen area, she said, pointing to the doorway on the left. Shakiba stepped and looked around. Oh, for God's sakes, look at your hips. How will you squeeze a baby through them? Marjan's girth was generous, probably having increased by inches with each new addition to their family. But Marjan's statement surprised Shakiba. No one had ever mentioned the possibility of her bearing children, not even in jest. She felt a heat rise into the right side of her face and lowered her head. Oh, you're embarrassed. That's sweet. Well, let's move on. There are many things to be done while we stand here chatting. Marjan listed the chores to be done around the house, but she spoke without the bitter condescending of Shakiba's own family. Despite the fact that she'd been brought here as a servant, Shakiba realized Azizullah's home would be a reprieve for her. She caught herself before she broke out into a full smile. Azizullah and Marjan had 4 children. Shakiba met the youngest first, Banija, a 2-year-old girl with soft dark curls that framed her rosy cheeks. Her eyes were thickly lined with kohl, which made the whites glow. Manisha clung to her mother, her tiny fingers hanging on to her mother's skirt as she eyed the new face wearily. Shakiba saw herself and Akila doing the same with Marjan. Marjan and Shakiba sat down to finish rolling the dough into thin, long ovals. They would be taken to the baker later to be made into fresh baked bread. The eldest child, Farid, was 10 years old. He darted into the kitchen and grabbed a piece of bread before Marjan could chastise him. And before he could take stock of Shakiba's face, Shakiba tried to imagine which of her female cousins would possibly have been arranged as his future bride and her services not been offered instead. It was hard to guess. Next came 8-year-old Haris and 7-year-old Jawad. They were in a hurry to keep up with their older brother and barely noticed that there was a new person toiling away with their mother in the kitchen. They were energetic boys who froze in their father's presence, but when Azizullah was not around, they quibbled and tackled each other, teaming up against their stronger older brother. The children seemed to have inherited their parents' attitude toward disfigurement. After their initial surprise and a few bold questions, they no longer seemed to notice. Within 2 weeks, Shakiba felt quiet at home with Azizullah's family. The boys reminded her of her own brothers, Tariq and Muniz. Manija had Akila's dark curly hair, but the resemblance brought Shakiba more pleasure than pain. It was almost as if she was living with her reincarnated siblings. You did me a favor, grandmother, the only decent thing you've ever done for me. Just as she had at Bobo Shuggle's house, Shakiba soon came to manage most of the households on her own. She busied herself with washing the clothes, scrubbing the floor, bringing the water from the well, cooking the meals, just as she had done in the past. Things were considerably easier here, though since there were only 6 people to look after. She could tell that Marjan was more pleased with her work than she wanted to show. Azizullah paid her no attention as long as his wife had no complaints with their new servant. But when the family took to their beds and the house settled into its night rhythm, Shakiba lay awake as the outsider she would always be. Shakiba had experienced upheaval and change before, and each time she adjusted. She was by now used to the idea that she was not truly a part of any home, not truly part of any family. She would be sheltered by these walls only as long as she scrubbed them until her hands bled. Because she was Shakiba, the gift that could be given away as easily as it had been accepted. And that's the end of chapter 9. What do we think? How do we feel? What do we think? I feel like it was these 2 chapters that we covered today were heavily focused on Shakiba, and also it was like, okay, now Shakiba is working the farm and now she has been given away. Again, very, very rough, emotional, I would say, somewhat, but I'm so glad she's at Azizullah's right now. I'm so glad that she's enjoying being around Azizullah, and I'm so happy that finally people around her are not talking about her disfigurement. And the Shakiba Ishola comment, Shakiba Ishola is really pissing me off, or anything about her face is so upsetting. And the fact that people are like, oh my god, like, you will become like her. Oh, so mad. That's it. I will be leaving you here with these 2 chapters that we covered. I am so tired. I'm so tired. Just need to drink some more tea. What do you guys think? What do you think about these 2 chapters? How is this sitting with you? What opinions do you guys have to share? What do you think? Are you guys happy for Shakiba? Do you guys think Shakiba's life will get any easier and better? Are you guys excited for the next 2 chapters? Just tell me. Tell me everything in the comments below. Come on, let's talk. I need someone to talk to about all of this. Like and subscribe if that's what you want to do. Share if that's what you want to do. Please comment what books you guys want me to read next. I will be reading The Bastard of Istanbul. I'm already through a couple of chapters, so I'm just thinking from now on, rather than reading the books by myself, I'll just read it and have real time reaction with you guys and just see where it goes from here. All right, well, thank you so much.